Um, I think first I want to acknowledge that my comments today may be a little confusing because I use the word community a lot, and community could apply to human community, but it could also apply to the community of all beings, all that is. And when I refer to community, I can mean either and or both. It can be read in a variety of different ways, and this isn't really sacred text, what I'm doing, but it's typical of the way things often are in the materials that we read, deliberately ambiguous, because they have layers of meaning. The ideas may call to mind more one of the other. So I'm going to start by first looking at the hymn we sang today, One More Step. Now, the overall theme of this is how we activate interdependence, but I'm going to sort of build that up slowly. One more step, let us take one more step till there is peace for everyone. Let us take one more step. That has both a humanist and a universalist flavor. It's a universalist because we strive for peace not only for us, but for everyone, for a time in which aspirationally every word is heard. That's all that we believe and all that people that we strongly disagree with believe, all that we think we cannot tolerate is heard, okay? Every word is heard. Every prayer is shared. Every prayer is shared by everyone. And every song is sung by everyone. This is complicated and confusing because maybe it's a bit aspirational, and I think in the time it was written, it presumed a different kind of culture and society, right? But it aspires to apply to all humans, or maybe even all beings. The thing I like most about it, though, is that it's humanist. And what that means is that it suggests that it is within our common human power to create this better world of peace for all. Or as Pat Uribe Lichty so beautifully put it in our opening words, we come with different histories and different realities, and yet we come together as one people with faith that we can, and here's the key, use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. Well, many people, when asked why they are UU, say that they come for community. They like gathering with like-minded others. I always find this a little odd because, 3 Unitarians, 17 opinions. But it's also critical to note that many, if not most, BIPOC UUs, that is, UUs who are Black, Indigenous, and or people of color, say that they must leave their communities to gather with UUs, okay? They do not come for community because the community here still is sort of a lot like the dominant culture, and that is a community to be navigated because Unitarianism, Universalism, and UUism are spaces that have long been dominated by what we can call the white gaze, okay? So currently, Unitarian Universalism is in the process of the work of widening the circle of concern by centering the wisdom, experiences, and indeed persons who have formerly been relegated to the outer margins of our faith community. So things are changing. Things are changing. And some of the ways we can see that things are changing is that services aren't just all blah, 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 and then a concert, and then more talk, anymore. Now, the younger ministers who are coming up are, and by younger I mean virtually almost everybody, they have so much creativity and they have so much talent and they have so much passion and so much they're there, they're there. And I hope you get to sample quite a bit of that. Now me, I'm still kind of in the blah, blah, blah. Here's a picture. But hopefully it's a little bit entertaining. And I want to tell you something that may surprise, even shock you, that this work of widening the circle of concern, surprisingly, despite all that UUs profess, this process of widening the circle has not been without controversy. Okay, so just know that. We don't need to go there today. But this is part of the changes that are happening in Unitarian Universalism. And I'm here to tell you, it's why I am studying to be a minister. It's like I was leaving Unitarian Universalism because I felt like a minority of -1, in my congregation and the national meetings. And then I stumbled into one of our identity seminaries, accidentally took a course. I won't tell you the whole story of that. It's pretty funny. But anyway, within the week, I had decided, this is all I want to do. These are my people. And now it has moved from being on the margins to being in the center, which is very, very pleasant for me and very, very unsettling for people who have spent their whole lives in the center, you see. So we need to be careful with each other, and full of careful with each other, because things are changing, and change is never simple and it's never easy. Perhaps it's more precise to say we're not really like-minded, but we are like-hearted in a lot of ways. We are like-hearted. We believe that it is possible for people to work together to create a better world for everyone, and we do intend a better world. Now, how to actually approach manifesting these things is a very different issue, and there are lots of different approaches, and they're all good, is what I would say. Because why have just one approach when you can have 8 billion, right? Which is, in fact, one aspect of interdependence, particularly if one being's bread is another being's sorrow. So we each affect the fabric of the whole in a multitude of ways, most of which we are, or can be, depending on our privilege, unaware of. So how do we go about this process of beginning, as our centering hymn calls us, to build a new way? How do we do that with clear eyes, an open heart, and a receptive spirit? I think that clearly we must be taught by a great diversity of stories. I believe it all begins with listening and with the intention to build and nurture relationships of care with each other. And I don't mean just humans, okay? Relationships of care. We must listen and listen and listen, and not just to words, right? All of our other senses. Listen to what our eyes are telling us. Listen to what our nose is telling us, our taste, our sense of touch. Listen to what our spirits are telling us. Listen with our hearts, with our spirits, and with our physical body. We must take a great deal of thought and time to make any kind of plan, despite the immediacy and urgency of so many things. And even with all this care that we take and the involvement of so many people, even then, someone in the corner is bound to point out how this carefully crafted plan actually causes pain for other beings. And then what? And then what? Do we say, it's only one person, it's only one plant, it's only one inlet? Or do we take one more step in understanding? Do we go another round around the circle of like, how do we incorporate that into our thinking? How do we? And, the answer may be something that nobody has previously thought of, but it takes all of us in the circle to participate in these kinds of decisions. And it's incumbent on us when we have felt dismissed to at least say that somewhere to someone, so that we just don't say, well, I didn't like that, so I'm going to leave. I mean, this is a community, and a community is based on relationships. So relationality, if we're not pursuing that, what are we doing? If it's just like, well, I don't like it, so I think I'll leave. I mean, what is that? I don't understand that. This is a community. I use the R word advisedly, religious community, religare, right? To bind together as a community. Maybe a better question is not what we do, but how we do it. How do we listen to these inevitable and inevitably frustrating messages and realities that it's impossible to do anything in this world without harming somebody or something? It's just impossible. It always has been, but with 8 billion humans, it's a whole lot more impossible. So we have to navigate these things. Every choice we make is a moral decision. How does that moral decision relate to our values, relate to our theology, if you will? How universalist are we, really? And by we, I mean everybody who's hearing these words. So let's consider how we approach interdependence. Interdependence is the 7th principle. This is in the way that we've been since the 1980s. Is the principle that we covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of which we are a part. Well, that's a good thought, right? Right now, as I say, things are changing, and we're in the process of looking at new ways of thinking about things. So here's a proposal. There are many petals in the flower. Some of you have seen this petal diagram, and the interdependence petal is explained like this. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. Well, so what? Honor, respect, Okay, you can wordsmith this, and we like to do that, but wait, it goes on. With reverence for the great web of life, and with humility, not a word often heard in UU circles. Seriously? Seriously. And this is seriously proposed to be in this exact petal. Humility, us. Humility. We acknowledge our place in it. We don't just respect. Respect somehow sounds, to me, it sounds distanced. It's like, I respect the painting. I respect the chalice. But am I a part of it? Do I have a relationship with it? So what these petals are trying to get us to do is to understand the relationality. But wait, there's more. Every petal has action associated with it. This action is, it says, we covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. Wow. Okay, what's exploitation? What I'm going to say in advance, there's more to this petal. I'm still talking, right? What I'm going to say is that there's a lot of material here for philosophers, because there are words like respect versus honor and humility and covenant. This one is exploitation. What exactly constitutes exploitation? Here's the dilemma. As human beings, as animals, we do not make our own food. Plants make their own food. Algae make their own food. Animals do not make their own food. So we have to eat other beings. So what's exploitative? Certainly not existing. I mean, that would be weird. Trey, you have a hand up.
Well, I was just going to say that exploitation could be interchangeably used with manipulation.
Manipulation. Okay. I think this warrants an after-talk discussion after people get their coffee and tea. I agree with you, and yet, who has a garden? Is that manipulation? Who tends the wild? Well, I tend the wild. Is that manipulation? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How am I going to eat if I don't manipulate something? So does it mean that I just have to accept that I'm an exploiter? Maybe. Maybe, but it's an ugly word, isn't it? So there's that. It goes on to say, we will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care, respect, mutuality, and justice. I love this. This really calls us to walk or talk. Always. We don't agree with each other. We don't even agree with ourselves, let's be honest. You know, I have 7 different opinions before breakfast. So it's complicated living in my head. But really, mutuality and justice, right? Our song talked about peace. Some of us are familiar from the 60s and elsewhere. If you want peace, work for justice. Okay? Peace just doesn't magically happen. There has to be a just world before there's peace. Finally, oh, dang.
You need help, Jesse?
Maybe. There we go. Oh, no.
No, let me help you.
Thank you. I'm going to read it. Can't believe I did that.
Should come up. Hold on.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It's not.
It's
Okay.
not going to do it.
Okay.
The last phrase in this, however, is, we will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. That's what I have now completed the discourse on the 7th petal, the 6th petal, actually. There's 6 petals. This is the interdependence. Now, some of you may take this, I'm lobbying for this new thing. I'm not lobbying for anything. I don't care. I trust the process. The delegates are going to vote on this. I trust that what the delegates do as a gathered body will serve Unitarian Universalism in the way it serves Unitarian Universalism, and then we will see where we want to go from there. Do I like this? Oh, indeed I do. I love it. Am I telling you, you should adopt this? It's like, no, I'm not. I'm asking you to think about it, is what I'm asking. And think about these words. I think this last set of words about damaged relationships and harm, that we're not just going to let those sit there. We're going to work to repair harm, and we're going to work to repair damaged relationships. Anybody here have a damaged relationship? My goodness, does anybody not? So do we as UUs really want to commit to this statement with each other and with all our relations, even the sugar ants, even the yellow jackets, even the mudslides, with each other? How might we learn to lean into this kind of attention to repair and to start believing that broken relationships with each other, with the world, broken relationships do not need to remain broken, my friends. They don't need to remain broken. We can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring healing to a fractured world. And how might we tend and attend to these matters in the hourly choices that comprise the measures of our day? Thank you for your attention this morning. I will be happy to convene a circle afterwards. After you get your coffee and tea, we'll have a circle in here. And Jeff is going to give us a beautiful rendition of his piece, Entering the Quiet. Let us think about these things as we listen to this music.